Thistle HardWall is a quick drying undercoat plaster which can be hand or spray applied. So when I'm applying hardwall, I like to put a slightly thicker coat on the first coat. If you just do a little section at a time, it just makes life a little bit easier. Hi, I'm John from A&E Construction, and today I'm going to be showing you the process of how to install a two-coat system using Thistle HardWall plaster and finishing off using Thistle Pro Dura Finish. So let's take a closer look at the products. Thistle HardWall is a quick drying undercoat plaster which can be hand or spray applied. It is ideal for medium to high suction backgrounds and can be applied to brick or blocks. If you're buying this product in bulk, please make sure that you use the oldest first. Simply check the date on the side of the bag and you will see it's used by date. So let's get on with preparing the wall in which we're going to apply it to. My wall is prepped and ready to go. I've dusted it all down and given it a coat of Gyp Prime. Now what I'm going to do is apply my Thistle plaster angle beads. I've just mixed up some hardwall and I'm going to basically apply them using that. So let's get them on. Then just use your level to make sure they're nice and plumb. Once you scrape away the excess, it's always worth just giving it another quick check, just in case the bead has moved slightly. That's it, easy as that. Now I'm going to get along with putting the rest of the beads on the wall. So the area in which we're going to apply the plaster is ready to go, so I'm going to start mixing up. Like I mentioned before, check the date on the bag to make sure it's still in date, and also check the back of the bag for the manufacturer's instructions on how much water to use and how to apply the product. Always make sure you use fresh, clean, cold water when mixing up, and once you've mixed and all the lumps are gone, stop mixing straight away because over mixing can affect the setting times. Our plaster is all mixed up and now I'm going to get it on the wall. The consistency you're looking for is kind of like that. You don't want it too thick, but also you don't want it too thin because it's got to build up enough to actually pick up on the wall. What we're aiming for is 2 even coats, adding up to a total of 11mm thickness. If you do that, one bag will cover approximately 3 square meters. So let's get it on. So when I'm applying hardwall, I like to put a slightly thicker coat on the first coat. You don't have to be too tidy with it. Obviously you need to just get a good coat on there and as even as possible. And then when you come to put your second coat on, that is when you get it all nice and flat. Simply squeeze the material into the wall with medium pressure and just try and be fairly neat with it. But don't worry, it hasn't got to be perfect at this stage because like I say, you're going to go over it with another coat anyway. So you can see here I've got an archway. What I'm going to do is build this out by hand, and then when I come to skim it I'll apply a flexi bead around it. The original arch was a little bit out, so I've had to bulk fill this a little bit and I'm going to have to work that in nicely just to make sure that it's level across the top of these stop beads here. Right, that's it. I've got the face of the chimney breast done. Now all I need to do is do the cheeks, let this pull in slightly, and then we'll go on with our second coat. So I've got some fresh plaster mixed up and I'm going to get this on now to give me an overall thickness of 11mm. When I'm applying my second coat, you obviously need to rule this off to make sure your wall is nice and flat. So what I like to do is just apply it a little bit thicker, and that way then you know that you're going to cover any hollows, so when you're actually ruling the plaster off, you're just taking away the excess and leaving a nice flat wall beneath it. What I'd recommend is doing small sections at a time, not doing the whole wall and then ruling off. If you just do a little section at a time, it just makes life a little bit easier. When it comes to ruling off, you can use either a derby, a serrated edge, or a feather edge. In this case, I'm going to use my feather edge because it literally spans straight across both beads, so it gives me a nice surface to rule off on. So I can see now, because it's a bit of a stretch, I've actually got a bit of a hollow there, so I just need to go ahead and put more material in. But you can see where I've gone across here with my feather edge. It's nice and flat and uniform. Okay, so my wall is nice and ruled off, nice and flat. All I'm gonna do is leave that a little bit longer then. I'm gonna go over it with a steel trowel just to close the surface off, ready for the devil float. Right, next up, we're going to use the devil float. So we're going to go over the surface just to make it nice and flat, and also use the screws in there to provide a key for our finished plaster. It's always worth noting, as with all your tools, keep it wet just so it glides easily across the surface. And it's also worth keeping a little bit of material by, just in case there are any little hollows that need filling out along the way. Before we mix up, let's show you what we're going to be using for the finish coat. This is part of the Thistle Pro range. It is Dura finish, and it's 60% tougher than standard multi-finish. It's ideal for use in high traffic areas such as school corridors or hospitals. However, it is also perfectly fine and acceptable to use in areas such as this chimney rest behind me. The chimney rest behind me, which is done in HardWall, can also be finished with Thistle multi-finish or any of the Thistle Pro ranges, including pure finish or magnetic. This has been left long enough to harden now, so we're going to go and get the plaster mixed up and get it on the wall. However, if you have left this overnight or for a few days, you would need to prime it first using Thistle Gyp Prime. So let's go downstairs and get it mixed up. So I've mixed up my Dura finish, and it's had 5 minutes to sit and rest in the bucket before I apply it. What I'm going to do before I start applying it is just run over the wall with my trowel and remove any high spots from where I've scratched it. Sometimes it pulls little bits out, so just quickly run over it with your trowel and it will make life easier when you come to skim. Okay, that's it. The first coat is on. Let's give it a flatten, then we can get on with the second. Right, that's it. Second coat is now on. I'm going to get tidied up and then get ready for the flattener. We're on to the final stage now, which is the final trowel. You can do this process on Dura finish using either a steel or a plastic trowel. And that is it. That is how you install one of British Gypsum's 2-coat systems using Thistle HardWall and Thistle Pro Dura finish. I'm John from A&E Construction. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.